Good morning. My name is Cheri, and you have wandered into my studio along with my helper. I have tried everything I can to get him off the table, and the more I try, the more he insists that it's his table. So I'm hoping that as I just ignore him now, because it's literally been like 10 minutes and he's obstinate. It's actually Cheri's card studio. He would think it's Branson's card studio. So I will just show you some of the stuff. There he goes. Maybe when I start moving my stuff, because he's literally laying, there we go. I have a fun project for you today. In fact, it is, when it's new catalog time and I start thinking about some of the stuff that I'm going to do for my events and some of my online classes, 20 million choices. There's so many things to pick from. And as I was making today's card, I think that I at least have narrowed in. I'm going to offer 2 online classes in June, maybe July. I may do 2 or 3 and have them go through June and July, partly because of vacation and the 4th, and we'll be on vacation in July, and you have the holiday. So I think that I may do them a little different, because new catalog time is always when I change things up. And I will also try to have some of my paper and ribbon share information. I'm going to try to get it in the email that's going out this week. If not, it will definitely be on my website before next week's email and in next week's email. So if you're interested in getting sample size, well, not sample, usable sizes, I haven't decided because I haven't priced it out yet, because it takes math. And if you watch my videos, I can do math. I just don't find joy in it. But it will be either 4x6 or 6x6 sheets of a lot of the designer series paper. I haven't, again, pricing, I don't know if it'll be all or a nice selection of, and then again with a lot of the new ribbons, a couple of yards of a selection of the ribbons. So today's card, I'll show you a little bit of the thought process I went into it, because this is some new paper, and it's called Woven Threads Designer Series paper. I had not even opened it. So the card that I'm doing today, I actually bought a shirt that I was going to wear to our Great Lake Leadership event that we had for Stampin' Up! This past weekend, and I put it on and it was too big. It made me look like I was pregnant. Nobody's gonna think I'm pregnant because I'm in my 50s, but it just had that look. So I didn't keep it, but it's in my head. I actually took a picture of it. So that was kind of where I started with the thought process. But I wanted to use some paper. So I saw this, as I said, I had not opened it. So I pulled one sheet out. So I'll show you the sheet that I pulled out. Now that he's gone, I would have organized this a little bit better. This was the sheet that I was working with. And as you can see, it's still a full sheet, so I didn't use it. This is where I started with my colors. And I wanted to use the refills, and some of you may know that there was a quality issue with our purple posy. So I actually have the pad because I got it before the quality issue came about, but I don't have the refill, and I'm working with the refills today. So I thought, well, I can use the other colors that are in this. So I went with the Terracotta Tile, new color, the Rococo Rose, which I'm not even sure is in this paper after I started going. The Seaside Spray was. But funny story, when you pre-order, you're kind of in a hurry because you're like, I want to get this stuff fast. And I ordered a Peacock Posy pad, which I already had one. So I got 2, and a Peacock Posy refill, and I did not get the Seaside Spray refill because, numbers, they're all kind of similar-ish, and I must have hit the wrong number or wrote down the wrong number. So I don't have a Posy or a Seaside Spray. So I worked with what I had, and as the card progressed, I really thought, well, I should use Peacock because I need some leaf colors. So this piece of paper, as beautiful as it is, did not end up on my card. And this is the other side, because I did think that I was going to use the reverse side of that. So let's look at the other patterns. You can look along with me because I haven't taken them out yet. And if you do a paper swap, paper share with me, you will get some of this paper because it's beautiful. So here's the one side, and it does feature a lot of the new in colors, which is always fun to have one package that uses a lot of those, especially in the way they put them together. Because when you see the pads laying together, they're not necessarily colors that you would think, oh, I'm gonna smuck all those 5 cards together and make a card. But they work together beautifully in this. And you can see they're, it's my style, because it's kind of rustic and vintage and scraped up. So it matches my table. See, the scraped up white kind of goes with my table. Here's the one that I didn't use. Here's one that I did end up using. And again, it's I know some people don't like this model look, and if you don't like it, then you'll like this card because I use a small piece of it. And here again, this could be on a masculine card. And I'm also using this piece, which kind of torn. Well, it was torn because I really like this side of it, and I'm using this side because I wanted to pull the peacock in. This may be my favorite piece, but it's one of those large patterns that's hard to work with on a card, so I'll have to do something creative with that. It's kind of, you know, I spent some time in India. I've been there a couple of times. It kind of reminds me, it's a little Native American Indian, it's a little Aztec, it's a little Eastern Indian, it's a little Eastern European. It's kind of got a lot of flavors going for it. Mine's just going to be a happy card. So here's what, there's also, with this, I'm going to use, I wish I could show you the inside of the catalog. Now I have this here, but I can't because we're not allowed to. So I'm using the Floral Essence, and it's a photopolymer stamp set, and it's beautiful. And the shirt that I had pretty much has that I didn't keep, had these exact flowers on it in colors, except it added kind of a more mustard kind of color to it, which we don't have more mustard anymore, so I don't know which of our colors that it would be now, but one of them. I'm having a mind blank on what a color would be that would match it. And then this, so it's a bundle. You'll get a bundle, and this punch goes with this, and I'm going to use that on today's card. And then if you already have this that's in the current catalog, it punches out the leaves. So you can get something that you already have and make it work with this. But then in this new catalog, they've also packaged it together, so you can buy the whole suite. So you can buy just the bundle, or you can buy the whole suite. And in the suite, I don't remember everything that comes in it because I'm not using it the way that it's packaged together, is the vellum, which I've shown you the vellum on a couple of cards. These fun little flower centers, which could kind of almost be the color that was on the shirt, but I'm not going to keep them this color because it doesn't work for my card. One of the ribbons, maybe this ribbon. I can't show you the inside of the catalog, so I can't look. I think it's the paper that I call the Moonlight Monet. I think that these, I don't know, it's got a nice selection of products, but the nice thing is you'll just be able to write down one product number and all of it comes to you. And I looked earlier, I think that the price for the whole suite, where you get like 2 packages of 12 by 12 paper, because one's the vellum and one's the designer series paper. I know you get the little flower centers, you get the stamp set, you get the punch, you get the ribbon, and it's around $68 US. So it's a nice deal, and it's so much easier to just write one number than, you know, not a number person. So I'm going to use this, and it's a fun technique. It's one that I've been wanting to do. If you saw my card where I filled these with ink refills a while back, maybe in March or April. You can go back and look at it. So what I'm going to do first, like I said, these are the little Perennial Essence Floral Centers. This is one of those cases that, you know, sometimes these are hard to open. You'll get individual one. So they've got self-adhesive on the back. I'm probably not going to be able to use this self-adhesive because what I'm going to do to it takes some time to dry, and it's not going to be dry by the time we're done with this. So I'm going to just put this aside. So they're yellow and they have a little self-adhesive back on them. I'm just going to stick mine in my little tray here. And then these are Aqua painters that I have filled with, if you can kind of see, they're about half filled because we're going to make this card if you come to my camp. And if you're local to Indianapolis, if you're a demonstrator or not, everybody's welcome to come. If you're on my team and you're a direct, then you can come for free. If you are just a demonstrator or a customer, then it's $25 or free with a $65 purchase. So you can see that I filled it to about here. It was maybe to here. I put about 15 drops of the refill. So this was how I had to go with the colors on my card because it didn't have all the refills of the in colors. So I have the new terracotta tile, the Rococo Rose, and the pretty peacock. So I'm going to use the terracotta tile because I want my flower center to be, there's cat hair here because, you know, I'm my visitor. I want the center to be orange and not yellow. So I'm just going to kind of dab this on here. So the more, when I did this we have a demonstrator training thing that we do, me and some of my girlfriends. So we did it then, and I did mostly refill because I was just doing greens and I wanted it to be a strong green. And then the nice thing with this is I don't care if there is a little bit of yellow around it because it's supposed to kind of look like a real flower center. So when I made my first one, I kind of intentionally left some yellow around the bottom, but then as it dried, it kind of soaked down. So it's mostly the terracotta tile, and then it has just some highlights of the yellow color that they come in. So just kind of paint this on here. When I was sick last week, and we do a Facebook Live demonstrator meeting, my girlfriend said they tried to emboss it, and they don't emboss. They said that was a hot mess, so don't try to emboss them. So then, literally, this is just refill in water, one of my favorite mediums, because if you're already going to buy the refills to refill your pad, and don't not buy the refills to not refill your pads, because when your ink pads start looking like they're not stamping great, it's because they need to be refilled. So just then set that to dry. So it's just water. It's not going to be dry by the time I'm done making this card. That's why I'm not going to be able to use the sticky on the bottom of it. But you can see that right now it has a little bit of yellow. Maybe you can see that. But some of that will soak down, so we'll have less yellow. Because I tried to leave it. I put a little bit less on this one than I did the first time. So then to make the card, it doesn't take very long because there's no big shot or anything, but it does have some embossing. This is shimmer white because all of the white in the world should be shimmery, right? Here's my Versamark. I own several Versamarks. I own a lot of Versamarks. And it's always when I go to film, I want to get one that doesn't look like it has seen a million better days. And it's kind of like whack-a-mole or something where I just keep picking them up till I get one that looks pretty white. This one's pretty good. I have some of them that are so disgustingly dirty and, a million years old. So I'm going to cover the back of this with Versamark, and it's going to be hard for you to see it because it's actually a little hard for me to see it. But you want them to go off the edges and not terribly close to each other because I do want to leave some space for leaves. It would be easier if it was sunny, but it's been raining for a couple of days in Indianapolis, which, because the 500's coming, so let's just have lots of rain. It actually looks more like Ireland than it looks like Indy. You can probably hear it when I stop talking. So if you can't see where you're going, then just stop. I could see better before I turned my lights on because it's easier to see when it's not quite as bright. But you do want to kind of twist this. You don't want all your flowers going the same way. And you want to leave some room for leaves. So we'll try this first. And then this is just white embossing powder with a really, really old Stampin' Up! Logo on it because embossing powder will last you a really long time. So we're going for a white on white here. And you can see I have lots of space left. Because it's hard to see this. I did turn my lights off when I was doing it last time because it was easier to see. So I'm going to take this while I have it here. You don't want to stamp too much with the powder on because you don't want the powder to get on your stamp. So I'm going to move this over here and just do a half one there. Okay, and then you go ahead and heat this and then do your leaves. That's how I did it the first time. And this is going to get covered up with a strip of designer series paper and with a punched out flower, so it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going for kind of like a designer series paper effect. So you're making your own background, so don't worry about it being perfect. So we'll heat this up. I should have turned my gun on before we started because my gun works better once it gets hot. And the white on white is a little bit trickier to see when it melts. There we go. So I can get a little bit closer to you. Although then when I edit and I zoom in, sometimes I get too close. So you can see it melting. And you don't want it to melt too much. The other thing that you don't want to do, I see sometimes people do it at my classes and stuff, you don't want to like get your fingerprints all over the card. Because the powder will stick to your fingerprints. You also don't want to grab the hot powder because it'll smush down until it's cooled off a little bit because you know it's hot. So twist it around because you don't want to burn your hand. Get right there. Hopefully it's showing up in the Indiana rain light. Now that the gun's hot, see it goes way faster. So when I do the leaves, they'll go faster. I already have the second card in my head. I have a lot to do today, so I really don't have time to stamp something, but you know, sometimes storing things in my head creatively wise is not the best storage locker. I don't know if that happens to you guys where you have a great idea and you're like, I'm gonna do that, and then by the time you get back to your creating space or your studio, you're like, yeah, I don't have any idea what I was gonna do. Does that happen to you guys? Okay, so I'm gonna just move this out of the way so I can add my leaves. And I just have them mounted on the other side of my block. And just kind of fill in the space that's empty. And again, you don't want them all to go the same direction. So just turn your paper, turn your stamp. They do have a little point that makes them look like they're coming out of the flower. But again, because I'm creating designer series paper and a background, it doesn't have to be perfect. You mostly just want to make sure that you're going to have, because I'm going to paint these with the peacock, so you want to make sure that there's some kind of on all 4 points of your card. So you end up with some green everywhere. Otherwise, you'll have a spot on your card where there's no color. Okay, so that's all we need for this stamp. And you have a long time before your Versamark dries, especially, you know, if you're in a really dry climate, you don't have as long. Here, because we're entering into our humid phase in the Midwest. So you could, on a day like today, I could probably leave it here for an hour. And it would probably, the Versamark would probably stay wet. So you can see, part of the reason I wanted to do the flowers first and then the leaves is because I've overstamped them, and it's fine. If it will give it a little bit of a, like one is over the top of the other. If you do them at the same time, the second time you stamp, it could lift off some of the original ink and it'll just look like you smucked it over the top of each other. But again, we're going for background paper look, so it doesn't really matter. So then once you're done with this, I always almost empty my whole thing out. And as you can see from the logo on this, I've had this for a long time. And he's now playing soccer. He has this ball. Can you hear him? No, actually, he doesn't have his ball. He has one of my fairy balls that I used for staging my fairy cards the other day. But apparently to him, it looks like one of his cat toy balls. So now we're playing soccer on the floor. Who needs kids when you have cats? Well, the kids are grown up, so otherwise it'd be just me at home by myself. My husband was working from home for a while, but now he's got a new position, so he's out most of the time. Okay, you can see because my gun's hot, now this time it's heating up a lot faster. You don't want to ever overheat your embossing, especially for a technique like this, because we're going to do some resist painting. And if you make it all go flat, then there's not going to be much left for your paint to resist. So heat it just till you can see maybe, I can't see while I'm standing up, you can see that the shiny and the dull. The dull is what needs to melt, and as soon as it goes shiny, it's done. And then you can kind of angle it around in the sun or the light to make sure that all all places are shiny. And once it's all shiny, you're finished. Okay. So then I'm going to take my Aqua painters, and I have, over time, now I've got a lot of these. I do need to get a little labeling system because I was writing on them with like a, not really a, well, kind of a white chalk pen, but they're just rubbing off. So for now, I just kind of go like this and make sure that I know what color's in them. These I just filled because they're new in colors, but I have dedicated Aqua painters to colors. You could do it where you get ink a different way. I just find for me, this is a faster way. You can do a few more things with it. And if you do classes or you do bigger events or you use a lot of one color, it's just faster and it saves your pads. And there's just more you can do with it. So I want the centers and like the edges of my flowers. There's no going back and like dabbing on anything or, you know, getting your stamp pads. So just kind of swirl it. The first time you fill it, you do have to squeeze the ink down there. I have not. I've had people ask me if you can wash them. On the lighter colors, I'm sure you could empty them out and wash them. I've not tried. I just kept all of them. I do have a lemon lime twist, which was, you know, one of my favorite colors. And so I'm thinking that if you want to, like with that one, I'll probably wash it because we don't have that color anymore. So, and then I'll put a light color in it. You know, one of the, maybe like Pear Pizzazz or something that's like, because these do look pretty stained, especially on the darker greens. Now this is the Rococo Rose. So see, you can just squish them over there. And then if you're not sure what color it is, you can just put it up there. You can tell that that's the Rococo Rose. And then I just want my flowers to be this. So you can see it's just resisting the embossing powder or the embossed images. I also usually take my glasses off when I stamp and I leave them on for this so I can see up to make sure everything stays in frame while I'm filming. So it makes me feel a little bit, sometimes out of, you know, just out of a little whack when you. So I've got those now. And then get the Peacock, which is a beautiful color. It's such a, it'll be really pretty once Christmas time comes around. It's a bluey green, but to mix this with some of the winey reds, like the Merlot for a Christmas card, will be super pretty. And you can see this is just a lot faster than going back and dabbing stuff over an ink pad. And on the shimmer paper, you could do it on the Whisper White or vanilla, but you have to be careful how much water you put on it because eventually it will pill. The shimmer has a little bit of a coating on it. So now I'm going to go back and kind of hit just a few areas just to give it some places that have a little bit darker. And this part, if you do it just on regular cardstock, it could pill. It would also be beautiful on the watercolor cardstock. Once the tips get dry, just give it another squeeze. And then it pulls more water down there. So there's our background. And you could see how you could do whole pieces of paper and just make your own background papers. But that's just pretty on its own. But of course, we're not going to stop there. We're going to use these again. So now here's just a little scrap of Designer Series of Shimmer White cardstock. And then here are the pieces that go with the punch. Let me move this where it can dry. Here's the Rococo Rose. I haven't even put my stickers on. I just feel like at some point I need like a stretch of days where I just make myself do all of the stuff that we don't like to do. Does anybody else have that? Like, I have retired stuff still sitting everywhere that needs to get out of my office. And when you do these, the punch is only going to punch the actual punched image. Like, this isn't a double punch, so don't waste paper. Like, I could get these even closer. I don't need to since I'm using a scrap. But don't feel like you have to put them really far apart if you're using a whole piece. Because the punch is going to punch right close to it. So then I'm going to go back to my terracotta and kind of just mimic what I did on the flowers. And again, the punch is going to punch about, so you don't have to stay in the line. You don't want to go over and over and over because you're painting on a water-based ink and it will smear. But these are nice because there's so much ink in them that you can just paint real fast. And this is tone on tone. So again, you want to go kind of fast so it doesn't smear the ink underneath. I have ink all over my hands from when I made the card the first time, and then I tried to wash it out, but it's pointless because I've got ink on me again. So here's the centers. I'll set those aside to dry for just a second. And then where did I put the paper that I showed you that I used? This paper right here was one of the sheets that I then wanted to use. You can see why. After I was done with making my background, here was the background, and then I had this. And you could make it work. I thought about using this flower centers and making dots, but it just wasn't the look that I was going for. So then I thought, well, I'm not going to even use the designer series paper, even though that was where my colors started from. But then I decided to go back, and I really liked this paper with it, but you weren't going to see enough of it. So, you know, it kind of was what it was, and then you have a stamped image, and you kind of have to make it work with what you want to do. So here is the side that I'm going to use, and I've got the peacock. Don't you love these new ink colors? And see, this is what I mean about it. When you lay these in colors next to each other, you don't think I'm going to go create a card with those colors, because they don't naturally look like they go together. But on this paper, they pulled it together wonderfully well. So get 2 of those leaves and just stamp them right here on your paper. And then this is the punch that is currently already in the catalog. Just pop those out. Way. And here's the fun new punch that we'll do. These. And see, it just lines up right next. So it's not gonna, it only punches this. So if you're using your own shimmer cardstock and you're trying to get as much as you can, just stamp your flowers right up next to each other so you don't waste cardstock, because the shimmer cardstock is not as inexpensive as the white and the vanilla. But see, it's not doing anything to the cardstock, so you can go right up next to it. So I've got that. And those. And then I'm going to mount the whole thing on some Rococo Rose. I will tell you that when I did this before, it's not going to be all dry. That's part of the reason I got the ink on me. If you were doing this at home, and when we do it at my camp, I will make them set everything aside and let it dry a minute. Because of the resist, it takes a minute for it to dry on the embossing powder. So I'm just going to be careful. And if it was winter and my heat was on, as opposed to it being rainy and humid here, it would also dry faster. So when you do this, you can see my strip's going to go over the top. And so you want to do it however you're going to not lose as much color as you can. So kind of flip this around and kind of play with where you want to place it, because I don't want to lose all my green. So I'm going to go like this. Because sometimes we go to all this work to make pretty backgrounds or stamp pretty backgrounds, and then you put it on and you lay stuff on top of it and it all disappears. So just think about your placement before you place it. Same with this. Nobody says it has to be in the middle. Nobody says the pink has to be here. And I'm actually going to stamp my greeting on it. So because this is kind of like a roughed up kind of look, there's places in all of the cardstock where it's a little less roughed up. So that makes it better for my words. So that's where I'm going to go and stamp my words. These are out of that set. And it says, all days are beautiful that begin with you. So it's just a nice thinking of you card. So if I put it over here, it's going to be a little bit more distracting. So I'm going to flip it this way and then put my words here. I hope I get them straight because I'm not putting my head over the top of it. That's pretty good. And then it does, again, it doesn't have to be in the middle, so you don't want to cover up all of the peacock leaves that you just made. So place it where it looks best for your design, because if I put it right here, I'm going to lose almost everything. So just squish it down and then move your flowers up, and then it will still be centered. And here's the pretty purple background that we're not using. So I'm just going to move it right here so you can see the leaves. And stick all this together. So with these, I just kind of flipped 2 of them up. And I left 1 flat. So the one that's flat will be our base. And then you just kind of catty corner them. And it gives you a nice full flower. If you also have the magnolia dies, you can do a nice little bouquet with mixing them all together. Oh, I thought maybe I was going to make it through talking without coughing. I'm almost better from being sick, but not quite all the way there. So see, you can just kind of put this now, because I've moved this, so the placement's going to be a little bit different than my other card. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to make it all the way different than my sample card that I've already made. Just to show you that you just place it where it looks best for what you've done. Because they don't have to all look the same. So we've got this. I'm going to take my glue dots. And here's a little trick with the punched leaves. This first one I have well, maybe I didn't pick up a glue dot. So I have no glue dot. But take a glue dot. And I'm going to stick it on the end of the stem and stick it there. Now this one, I'm going to take the end of my stem and cut that off. That way I can get it a little bit closer to the flower, and all my leaves aren't going to fall right on top of each other. It makes it easier because once the glue dot's on there, it can be hard to jam it under there. So that's easier for sticking it there. Then I'm going to use, I need to order some more of this, I guess, before camp. Scalloped lace trim. And I'm pretty sure that this is part of the bird ballad suite. I know it's not part of this one. I think it comes with the birds. So you just need a little bit. This is not going to be any kind of poofy ribbon. I'm going to take 2 glue dots. This is a ribbon tying video where you're making some ribbon. So put one there and then squish your ribbon together. This is great if you have like little offcuts. Save all those, you know how I make you cut your ribbon super long? So save all the bits, because you could do this with a polka dot tool too. And then this one, I'm going to pinch it together. See how it's pinched together now? And then take 1 more glue dot. Glue dots are your friend. Especially if you are hot glue gun challenged, because a long time ago we would have used a glue gun to do this and you would have burnt yourself. It was just part of crafting. You took one for the team. Those of you that are younger never had to live through the pain of the glue gun when you had to do all this stuff, and then just stick all that under there. So now you have this nice little accent. So this, just that little bit of ribbon adds something super fun. And then I'm going to take a glue dot. Like I said, the flower centers do have adhesive, but I know my stuff's not dry and I don't want to try to pick it up. Just going to stab it, maybe. Yes, stab it with this. Press it on with this and hope that I'll take it back off later when it's dry and add it the right way. I'm trying to hold it on here so you guys can see it. Might be too wet. Let's do a little bit of surgery. It just needs to stick long enough that I can show you. And then one more thing. These are the In Color faceted dots. I'm not sure what suite they come in. They may come in this one. I looked before I filmed, and now it's been, 15 minutes, and I can't remember. Because I haven't really, looked, because I haven't had to order anything or plan any classes, so I'm not really sure what goes with what. But we've used 3 of the colors on here, and there's 3 sizes. So I'm just going to pick 3 different sizes, because when we do this at camp, everybody can't have the same size that I did. So, everybody's got to pick a different one. So I'll put one. Again, this card is, the flower placement's all different than my original sample. Just because the words and this are all a little bit different. So I've got a big one, now I'm going to get a little one. Maybe. And I'm doing it upside down, which is always fun. Put the little one right here. Just adds a little bit. It's a very vintage looking card, and now I need a medium one in the terracotta. So I'm going to put it over here because otherwise okay, here's another design thing. You can put this terracotta over here, which is kind of where it is on my other one, but then it's terracotta on terracotta and it's harder to see it. So if I'd been thinking, I would have put the peacock maybe there. So there you go. And then let me show you the other one. They look the same, and if nobody ever saw the 2 of them together, see the flowers just placed a little bit differently, just because of where this fell. And this paper happened to get a little bit more of the crumb cake in it. This one really doesn't have any, but nobody would know. This one is dry, and this one I made maybe 45 minutes ago, and it's all the way dry now. So it doesn't take long for it to dry. This one, I'm gonna lose my center if I tilt it too much. So let's tilt this one. Because this one has dried now and I was able to put it on the right way. So it takes maybe a half an hour for the refill to dry on it. I wouldn't hit it with the heat gun just because my girlfriends told me that trying to embossing them did not work. Yeah, see, it's not. I'm just gonna let that dry. So I'm assuming when the embossing did not work that it was because heating it melted it. I didn't ask them the details. I could probably find out for you if you really want to know. So that's what I have for you today. If you love this bundle as much as I do, then you'll want to check back. I will I'll try to have my paper stuff up soon, and then I will definitely have my online class information ready before the catalog's live. So you'll be able to know what stamp sets if you want to purchase and how you do it. You just order the stuff, and then when I see that you have the pieces that you need for the online class, and all that triggers that you're part of the class, so you don't have to actually do anything except get it at the right time. So that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you got a couple of the fun technique things out of it. So everybody have a great day, and if I don't get back to you before Memorial Day, have a happy Memorial Day. I do have a Facebook Live on the Friday before Memorial Day. I'm not sure when I'll get this posted on YouTube, but it will be before Friday. So you can catch me on Cheri's cards on Facebook. So have a great day. Bye.